Hello dear student, welcome to new session of your chapter Laws of Motion. In this chapter we are discussing about friction. In last class we will discuss about angle of repose, and we know that angle of repose means the minimum angle of inclined plane. See my dear student, this is our inclined plane. Let's suppose the angle of inclination of this inclined plane is theta, and a block is placed on this inclined plane having mass m. So what is basically angle of repose? Angle of repose is this angle, that is angle of inclined plane on which the block remains at rest. So minimum angle of inclined plane on which block remains at rest is called angle of repose, and its value is theta is always less than or equal to tan inverse mu s. And what we'll see that if I'm talking about angle of repose, then this block remains at rest on this inclined plane, and if block remains at rest on the given inclined plane, then the nature of friction is static. That's why the value of coefficient of friction which you'll use is mu s. Now my dear student, there is a case relevant to this topic is if theta is greater than tan inverse mu s. Let's suppose if theta is greater than tan inverse mu s. So write down if angle of inclined plane, if angle of inclined plane is greater than angle of repose. Our topic is if angle of inclined plane, if angle of inclined plane is greater than angle of repose. If angle of inclined plane is greater than angle of repose, that is theta is greater than tan inverse mu s. Now see my dear student, basically angle of repose means that angle on which the block remains stationary on this inclined plane. But see, what if theta, that is angle of inclined plane, becomes greater than angle of repose? In that case my dear student, it is but obvious that the block starts accelerating and the probability of moving the block is downward. So write down, if angle of inclined plane is greater than, if angle of inclined plane is greater than angle of repose, if angle of inclined plane is greater than angle of repose, then the block starts accelerating, then the block starts accelerating, that is the block comes in motion, So my dear student, if angle of inclined plane is greater than angle of repose, then we know that now the block starts performing motion. Block start performing motion. Now see, if the block starts performing motion, it means now the nature of friction between the block and inclined plane must be kinetic, because we know that if the block starts moving on surface, then the nature of friction between surface and block is kinetic friction. So I am writing here, if block start performing motion, then the nature of friction, between block and inclined plane, is kinetic friction, kinetic friction. So if this block starts performing motion, my dear student, that is now the angle of inclined plane is greater than angle of repose. So if angle of inclined plane is greater than angle of repose, then we know that block starts performing motion, block comes down. So now I am making the free body diagram. See dear student, this is our x-axis, y-axis. If mass of block is m, then its weight, my dear student, but obvious, vertically downward, and it is mg. Now see, the angle of inclined plane is theta, so this mg is also making angle theta, and we know that mg is nothing but weight. Weight is a force, and if force makes angle, then we know that we have to split its component. Now see, every vector quantity have two components. One is in this direction, it is mg cos theta, and other is in this direction, it is mg sin theta. And we know that as this block is in contact with this inclined plane and block is applying force mg cos theta on this inclined plane, then we know that every action there is equal and opposite reaction, my dear student. So mg cos theta will be countered by a force called normal reaction force. So here comes your normal reaction force. Now see, this block is moving downward because now the angle of inclined plane is greater than angle of repose. So if the angle of inclined plane is greater than angle of repose, then it is but obvious that block starts moving with acceleration a in downward direction. Moving forward, if this block is moving downward, then we know that now the nature of friction which is applied by inclined plane on the block is kinetic, because if body is moving, then we know that friction between the surface and body is kinetic friction, and we know that if motion is in this direction, then friction, it is but obvious, is in this direction, and nature of friction, my dear student, remember, is kinetic friction. So please understand this thing. If block starts performing motion, that is angle of inclined plane is greater than angle of repose, then the block starts performing motion. And if block starts performing motion, then the nature of friction between block and inclined plane is kinetic. So here comes your kinetic friction. Moving forward, now see, the block cannot move horizontal in vertical direction. So we'll say n becomes equals to mg cos theta. N is equals to mg cos theta, and this block is moving in this direction, and motion, the direction of motion is downward. So in x-axis, or we can say in horizontal axis, we'll apply F net is equals to ma net. So F net means bigger force minus smaller force. So F bigger minus F smaller is equals to ma, and we know that the direction of motion is downward. So in downward direction the force is mg sin theta. So mg sin theta is greater than friction. So I'll write mg sin theta minus kinetic friction is equals to ma. Now we know that, my dear student, that kinetic friction is equals to mu k into n. So I'll write, instead of kinetic friction, we can write mu k into n. So now what we'll get? We will get mg sin theta minus kinetic friction is equals to ma. So mg sin theta minus mu k into n is equals to ma. So mg sin theta minus mu k into, now see my dear student, the value of n must be equal to mg cos theta. So n is equals to mg cos theta, because in this direction motion is not taking place. So in this direction the forces are in equilibrium, and if forces are in equilibrium, it implies opposite forces are equal. So instead of n, we can write mg cos theta. So I'll write here mg cos theta is equals to ma. Now if I am taking m common, m and g common, so we'll get sin theta minus mu k cos theta is equals to ma. M and get cancelled. So acceleration is of block is g sin theta minus mu k cos theta. this is the value of, dear student, acceleration if the inclined plane angle is greater than angle of repose. I hope you all understand this thing. Remember, if we are talking about angle of repose, it means that angle on which the block remains stationary. The block remains stationary. But if I am talking about greater than angle of repose, it means now the block not in stationary position, now the block starts moving. So this is how the acceleration is achieved by the block if angle of inclined plane is greater than angle of repose, and the value of angle of repose is theta must be less than or equal to tan inverse mu s. But if theta is greater than tan inverse mu s, then the block moves, and if block moves, it means the block is accelerating. In that situation, we'll get the formula of acceleration. It is A is equals to G sine theta minus mu k cos theta. G is acceleration due to gravity, theta is angle of inclined plane, mu k is coefficient of kinetic friction, and again this theta is also related to angle of inclined plane. Moving forward, my dear student, write down next topic, motion in horizontal. Write down motion in horizontal circular track. Motion in horizontal circular track. We know that circular track in our syllabus is of two types. One is horizontal circular track, dear student, and another is vertical circular track. If I am talking about horizontal circular track, then it is considered to be in two-dimension motion. But if we are considering vertical circular track, then it is 3D. So see, if track is like this, then it is horizontal circular track. But if same track will be made like this, then it is vertical circular track. In this situation, we can discussing about motion in this type of track, which is called horizontal track. So write down motion in horizontal circular track. Motion in horizontal circular track. Now see, dear student, if I am talking about motion in horizontal circular track, motion means acceleration. And if I am talking about acceleration, then it is but obvious that we have to talk about force. So see, force is in two different conditions. One is constant force and other is variable force. So in first case, we'll discuss motion in horizontal circular track with constant force. I'm repeating once again, motion in horizontal circular track, with constant speed. See, speed is of two types. One is constant speed and other is variable speed. So now we are discussing with constant speed. So write down motion in horizontal circular track with constant speed. We are talking about motion in horizontal circular track with constant speed. Now, before starting this topic, just try to understand what I am saying. See, if you are driving a car and your car is moving smoothly, if you are driving a car and your car is moving smoothly, then remember this thing, my dear student, the part of your car's tire which is in contact with the road is at rest. Remember this thing, my dear student. If your car is moving smoothly, then remember this thing, the part of the track which is in contact with the road is at rest. But if the car is skidding like this, if the car is skidding, then the part of the tire which is in contact with the road is in motion. Remember this thing, we have two different things, my dear student. First, when car is moving smoothly. So if car is moving smoothly, then the tire and the road which is in contact, the part of that tire comes at rest. So if car is moving smoothly, then in that case, my dear student, the nature of friction between car, tire and road is static. Remember this thing, this is very important point, my dear student. Try to understand. If car is skidding, that is when if you will apply certain brake, then in that case, my dear student, car will skids. But if car is moving smoothly, then the tire which is in contact with the road, that portion of tire comes at rest. In that situation, my dear student, the nature of friction between the tire of car and road is static. But if the car skids, then the nature of friction between the tire part and road is in motion, then the nature of friction is kinetic. So now we are discussing motion in horizontal circular track with constant speed. Now see, let's suppose this is our horizontal circular track and this circular track carry radius r. In this circular track, let's suppose a car is there and this car is moving. Now if you are aware with the circular motion part, then I already told you, my dear student, that if any particle is performing circular motion, in that situation particle carry two accelerations. One acceleration is towards tangent called tangential acceleration, and other acceleration is towards center called centripetal acceleration. And the value of tangential acceleration is, I hope you all are aware with this value, r alpha, and centripetal acceleration is r omega square, or second value of centripetal acceleration is v square by r. Remember, try to understand, my dear student, as we already discussed this thing. If the particle is performing circular motion, then the particle carry two different acceleration. One is towards center and one is towards tangent. Tangent towards tangent, the acceleration is called tangential acceleration and its value is r alpha. And the acceleration which is acting towards center is called centripetal acceleration. Centripetal acceleration carry two different formulas. One is r omega square, or we can say v square by r. And we already discussed this thing, beta, that both the accelerations work different. If I'm talking about tangential acceleration, then tangential acceleration changes the magnitude of speed. Tangential acceleration changes the magnitude of speed, and centripetal acceleration changes the direction of speed in circular motion. We all know this thing. Try to understand, my dear student. If you are not aware, then please go towards circular motion topic and then you'll see this video. Try to understand. If the particle is in circular motion, in that situation particle carry two different acceleration. One is towards tangent and other is towards center. Towards tangent it is called tangential acceleration, towards center it is called centripetal acceleration. If tangential acceleration, if we are talking about tangential acceleration, then tangential acceleration works as changing the magnitude of speed. Remember this thing, tangential acceleration works is to change the magnitude of speed, and centripetal acceleration works as change the direction of speed. I am repeating once again, my dear student. Tangential acceleration changes the magnitude of speed and centripetal acceleration changes the direction of speed. And if we are talking about circular motion, then see my dear student, every point carry different direction of speed. If I am talking about this point, then speed must be in this direction, because we know that in case of circular motion, the direction of speed is represented by drawing a tangent. So see, if I am talking about this point, then the direction of speed is like this. If I am talking about this point, then the direction of speed is like this. If I am talking about this point, the direction of speed is like this. If I am talking about this point, then the direction of speed is like this. So if the particle is in circular motion, then every point carry different direction of speed. So we can say if particle is in circular motion, then it is impossible that the direction of speed remains same, because without changing the direction of speed, the particle cannot be in circular motion. But yes, my dear student, without tangential acceleration, it is possible to perform circular motion, because the tangential acceleration works as changes the magnitude of speed. Let's suppose if tangential acceleration is not present, it means the magnitude of speed is not changing. But if centripetal acceleration is not there, then it is not possible for particle to perform circular motion. So my dear student, remember this thing, two acceleration, one is tangential, second is centripetal. Tangential acceleration changes the magnitude of speed, whereas centripetal acceleration changes the direction of speed. Without centripetal acceleration, particle cannot perform circular motion, because if particle is performing circular motion, then each point carry different direction of speed. But without tangential acceleration, circular motion is possible. If tangential acceleration is not there, then it implies that the magnitude of speed is not changing. So my dear student, in this case, we are talking about motion in horizontal circular track with constant speed. Constant speed means magnitude of speed is not changing, and if magnitude of speed is not changing, it means the value of tangential acceleration is 0, because tangential acceleration changes the magnitude of speed. So write down, if magnitude of speed is constant, or we can say if speed is constant, then if speed is constant, then the particle carry only one acceleration. Then the particle carry only one acceleration. Then the particle carry only one acceleration towards the center called centripetal acceleration. Next point, write down, if speed is constant, I'm writing here, if speed is constant, it implies tangential acceleration on particle is 0. Tangential acceleration of particle is 0. Remember my dear student, this is very important concept. If the particle is moving in circular track, then particle carry two acceleration. One is towards tangent and other is towards center. The work of tangential acceleration is to change the magnitude of speed. Here we are talking about constant speed. It means the speed magnitude is not changing. So if magnitude of speed is not changing, then it is but obvious that the tangential acceleration is 0. Now if I am talking about centripetal acceleration, then centripetal acceleration must act if the particle is in circular motion, because the work of centripetal acceleration is to change the direction of speed. And if centripetal acceleration is not there, then it is not possible for particle to perform circular motion. So here, my dear student, remember this thing: if particle is moving with constant speed, it implies that particle carry only one acceleration, that is centripetal acceleration, which acts towards center. So this is what we are talking about: motion in horizontal circular track with constant speed. Moving forward, my dear student, now see, if the particle carry acceleration towards center, because this particle is performing circular motion with constant speed, we are talking about constant speed. In that case, the value of tangential acceleration is 0. Now we know that if acceleration is there, then force also be present. See, my dear student, here the acceleration is towards center. So it is but obvious that if acceleration is there, then force is also there must be some force which is acting towards the center. So my dear student, remember this thing: if you are moving a car, bike, cycle, whatsoever, and you are performing horizontal circular motion with constant speed, then the force which turns you in the horizontal circular track is force of friction. Remember this thing: force of friction. So the acceleration is towards center, then there must be some force which is acting towards center. Here that force is called centripetal force, my dear student, and that force must be act towards center. So remember this thing: the friction can provide required centripetal force in horizontal circular track. And what I'll say you, if car is moving smoothly, then the tire part and road part is at rest. So the nature of friction must be, my dear student, static. So write down here the required centripetal force, required centripetal acceleration. Here the required centripetal acceleration is provided by force called friction, and if the friction force is providing required centripetal acceleration, my dear student, then this force of friction is considered to be centripetal force. Why this force is called centripetal force? Because this force is acting towards center, or we can say this force can provide required centripetal force. Try to understand each and every concept. Without force, acceleration is not possible. And if acceleration is towards center, then there must be some force which acts towards center. That force is considered to be, dear student, centripetal force. So here force of friction, centripetal force is force of friction, and we know that if car moves smoothly, then the part of tire and road which is in contact is at rest. Hence, if the surface and the object is at rest, then we know that the nature of friction is static. So here static force of friction can provide required centripetal force. So I am writing here the force which is acting towards center is called centripetal force. So here force of friction, my dear student, is centripetal force. And see, if I am talking about centripetal force, it is represented by Fc, then it is m into AC. AC means centripetal acceleration, Fc means centripetal force, and we know that the value of centripetal acceleration is nothing but v square by r. So we can say for Fc, that is centripetal force, is equals to mv square by r. Now see, my dear student, here the centripetal force is force of friction whose nature is static. So instead of centripetal force, we can write Fs. Fs means frictional force, and its nature is static, as the car is moving smoothly, or we can say car is not skidding. If car skids on road, then the nature of friction is kinetic, but if car is moving smoothly, then the nature of friction must be if car is skidding, then the nature of friction must be kinetic, but if car is moving smoothly, then the nature of friction is static. So instead of centripetal force, we can write static friction, because this static friction can provide required centripetal force. Centripetal force means that force which provide the acceleration called centripetal acceleration, and if particle is moving in circular track, then the acceleration, my dear student, is centripetal acceleration. So here comes static force of friction is equals to mv square by r. Now we know that static force of friction is always less than or equal to limiting friction, and if we are talking about limiting friction, then limiting friction must be equal to mu s into n, and n can be write as mg. So limiting friction is equals to mu s into mg. Now see, my dear student, this car, I'll made this car here so that you'll clear more about the concept. So let's suppose the car is like this. This is car and the mass of car is m. So vertically downward it is mg, in upward direction normal, and this car is moving in this circular path. So there must be a centripetal acceleration in towards center, and it is v square by r, and the force of friction is static. Now see, Fs is equals to mv square by r, and instead we know that Fs is less than or equal to Fl, and Fl is mu s into mg. So if you will use static force of friction is less than or equal to limiting friction, the value of static friction is mv square by r, so it must be less than or equal to mu s into n. So we can write mv square by r is less than or equal to mu s into mg. Now see, m and m get cancelled, so what we'll get, my dear student, we'll get v square by r is equals to, we'll get v square by r is less than or equal to mu s into g. So v square must be less than or equal to r mu s into g. So v must be less than or equal to mu s gr. This is the value of velocity in horizontal circular track if particle is moving with constant velocity, or we can say with constant speed. Remember, my dear student, this is also called safest speed. If you are in horizontal circular track and your speed is constant, then if your velocity is greater than mu s rg, r is radius of circular track, g is acceleration due to gravity, and mu s is coefficient of friction. So if your velocity in horizontal circular track is greater than mu s gr, then you will skid or falls down. So this velocity is also called safest velocity with constant speed. If your speed is constant and you are moving in horizontal circular track, if your speed is increases from this value, then you falls down, or your car or bike or cycle whatsoever you are driving is skids. So remember, this velocity is also called safest velocity with constant speed in horizontal circular track. In next class, we will discuss horizontal circular track with variable speed. So thank you so much, my dear student, for connecting with us. In next class, we will discuss a new topic. We are very close to complete friction as well, my dear student. Then our chapter laws of motion is completed. I hope you all are making your proper notes. Every topic will be revised by you. Try to revise and practice more and more numericals, my dear student. Then only you will say your physics is strong. Till then, my dear student, take care, stay safe, stay at home. Thank you so much.